Welcome to the Heroic Investing Show. As first responders, we risk our lives every day. Our financial security is under attack. Our pensions are in a state of emergency. A single on-duty incident can alter or erase our earning potential instantly and forever. We are the heroes of society. We are self-reliant and we need to take care of our own financial future. The Heroic Investing Show is our toolkit of business and investing tactics on our mission to financial freedom.
Welcome to the Heroic Investing Show, a podcast for first responders, members of the military, veterans, and anyone looking to improve their financial future and gain some freedom with their time. We teach America's heroes how to build passive income, build their startup business, and safely grow wealth through real estate and other alternative investments. We help current and prior first responders put protections, systems, and a team in place to help them build a life where they can focus on their passion, that service or product that they are uniquely gifted to share with others, making the world a better place for all of us. My name is Gary Pinkerton, and I co-host this show with Jason Hartman. So this is the second half of the interview Jason did with Sue, my wife Sue, and myself on our real estate portfolio. It's a client case study. And in the first half, we talked about some of the challenges that we had early on, about multiple markets, about mortgage sequencing. So in this second half here, we're going to talk about, Sue has some great tips about self-management. We're going to talk about the fragmented nature of single-family, real estate investing. Sometimes that's frustrating, but it's also to our advantage that not everyone gets into it. The hedge funds don't get into it, right? And then we also talk about making sure that everyone understands there really is no such thing as a passive investment. Anything that you do passively, anything that you decide, get into your mind or get convinced is going to be passive, where you can just hand your money off for somebody else to manage it, is going to come back and bite you. I guarantee it. And it's just, there's nothing in nature that way, right? Like squirrels can't just outsource getting the nuts for the winter and storing them away. Trees can't outsource getting water to their roots to keep the tree alive to the other younger trees. You cannot outsource the security in your life, the financial security, and your security in general. You can't outsource your health, right? You can't outsource your family's relationships. Nothing like that works. And it goes the same way with your finances. You have to pay attention, and you have to just constantly make sure that you're on the right path and that the people you have in place that are helping you with things remain focused and have your best interests at heart. So I've learned a tremendous amount. I've spoken with thousands of investors and clients of mine who have had bad experiences, and they all really go back to a couple of traits. And one of them is that, we don't do enough due diligence on evaluating the character of the individuals we're getting into an agreement with. But then also it's about abdicating. It's about not paying attention. It's about not thinking about that concept and surrounding yourself with other individuals that are, like-minded and focused on improving their own wealth. Listen, I'm not saying it has to be your day job. I'm saying that you cannot just abdicate responsibility, and the same goes with real estate investing as it does with your stocks. Many of us out there have abdicated our stocks and bonds to some money manager, and when things are going south and the guy's paying no attention, he will, you talk to him on the phone out of fear. They'll say things like, you're in it for the long haul, stocks go up and down and all those kinds of things. You need to maintain some control. Really, primary rule number one, Gary's rule number one, is maintain some control of your assets. That's one of Jason's commandments as well. I found it to be extremely important. Invest in yourself primarily, then invest in things you directly control, and then start thinking about investing passively in things that other people are in control of. And lastly, for sure, invest in speculative things where you don't even have a clue who's in control. You're just buying some shares, right? So anyway, a little bit of advice from my side, and let's get into this conversation as how this kind of direct control and no such thing as passive relates to our real estate portfolio.
So now that you've had some time with these properties and with your portfolio, share some best practices, tips, if you will, for dealing with property managers. I don't think you self-manage anything, but certainly self-management is probably something you've considered. I think the two of you, Sue and Gary, have maybe listened to every single podcast episode I've done. And have you listened to all of them?
Oh, I've listened to all of them numerous times,
Wow.
I think, because I'm, with helping you with kind of some of the Flashback Friday stuff. So lots of stuff there. My first comment on
to the self-management, Gary.
I actually do self-manage that fourplex, that original property. We self-managed that entire building for a while. And I found it to be amazingly easy. And I won't go too much into mine because Jason and I covered that on a previous episode. My thoughts, I would love to hear yours. One of the things I was going to mention at the end of the journey, Jason, is that Susan, as you said, had finished up her full-time job and is now becoming the real estate professional to run our properties. And it's pretty amazing, but she knows more and has probably more lessons now at this point about managing the managers than I do.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Sue, share some of those with us if you would.
So we self-managed the single-family residence in Oklahoma City because that was a newer construction. And then we still self-managed, I believe, 2 of the units in the fourplex. Kind of just got to where it was time for a tenant turnover. And, we weren't really clued in on the background checks and, all of that kind of stuff for new tenants. So we handed over 2 units to property management down there. But otherwise, I just find sometimes you do have to, I'm still spending some time managing the managers because I find that things will slip through the cracks, and I'll use our Memphis as an example. One of the houses is a Section 8 property. And we weren't getting paid the Section 8 portion. One month it was less than the normal. Then the next month it was nothing. And it took me to say, hey, what's going on here? Why is this going on? And to get on the property manager and to look into it. And then, that ended up being a 4 to 5 month ordeal. And, we got Sarah involved in all that. It came out okay, but, we were good for a couple months. And then, now we just had another issue for a month. And so I do find that I can't just take their numbers and put them in my spreadsheet.
Oh,
I have to really
agree.
at
you gotta
what,
pay,
what
attention.
they're doing.
Yeah, you got to pay attention. But, I'm curious. Both of you have talked, and this is one of the things I really value is transparency. And I try to share on my show, and I think everybody that's listened for a while will completely agree with this, hopefully, that, I'm just really transparent, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because, when you are just upfront about it, people's expectations are set correctly, And I find that makes my life a lot easier, frankly. I'll say it's even for a selfish reason. But to an outsider who's maybe happened to catch this as the first episode that they listen to, right? And they're thinking, well, why would I want to deal with this with all this problem? I'll just put my money in the stock market or keep it in the bank or something. It sounds like a lot of headaches. Can you guys address that? Why would you be excited about it after all this, right?
We're trying to drive away the competition.
Oh, okay. Got it. You don't want other investors buying properties, right? You're trying to turn them off.
No.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sue.
Oh, I was going to say, it's because when you have that month where everything goes great and you're just like, that's why I do it. Mm-hmm. Because, had minimal maintenance calls, everyone paid their rent on time. And then I fully realized all my cash flow that month. And I'm just like, there you go. Now it's like a game. Like, how many months in a row can I make this happen?
Right.
Yeah. And for me, it's about one of the things that's important is that the investor learns how to keep score correctly. And I'm kind of repeating, something that you've talked about a lot. But when you correctly keep score, it's not just about the cash flow. And in fact, the being able to offset the depreciation of the dollar to offset inflation, it's huge, especially when you do it leveraged, right? So I talked when we were at that Oklahoma City, Jason Hartman University, that, the numbers that are on all of these properties that we were looking at are in the 30s and 40% total return on investment. And that's actually what we're still seeing with our properties because of the multi-dimensions of it, right? And so, your comment about you feel every bump in the road, it's a fractionalized industry. It's going to keep a lot of people from joining it. But one of
a fragmented industry is what you meant to say. Yeah. One of the things, let me just comment on that, Gary, for a moment. One of the things I say is that, this is a common frustration with investors. Hey, it frustrates me every day too, is that it's a very fragmented industry. Everybody's doing stuff a different way. Your property manager in one city will do it differently than in another city. One of my sayings is embrace the fragmentation, because that fragmentation is what makes it very difficult for the institutional investors to get into the game. Now, granted, we all know they're here to some extent, but in comparison to the overall marketplace, the institutional investor component in the business of buying and holding and renting single-family homes is like nothing. Okay. You can say, okay, Invitation Homes has, 50,000 homes or whatever they have now. And that sounds like a lot. But in comparison to the overall marketplace of 15 million or so single family residential properties owned by small investors, they're nothing. Okay, they're nothing. And if this was not fragmented like that, Goldman Sachs and Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway, I should say, and every other institutional investor would be in this market eating our lunch. Okay, so it's good that it's fragmented. That's what keeps them out. It's hard for them.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
What I was going to say is that some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about at that incredible opportunity to talk and tell our story at Meet the Masters is that this opportunity we are both extremely bullish that we're on the right path and that a lot of Americans need to take this path, because until you develop part of your personal finances that enables you to have consistent passive income and offset any concerns of inflation, you're never really going to have the ability to go off and do what you want. There's no bank account big enough, in my opinion, that will do that for you. But if you have something that keeps up with the changing economy, keeps up with inflation, it gives you the freedom to go off and, step off the treadmill of life and do stuff you want to do. The reason we're bullish on it, I think Sue would agree, is because of the freedom that it creates for our family.
Yeah, and pardon my crass language here, but it just sounds better to say it this way. It doesn't keep up with inflation. This kicks inflation's ass.
Absolutely.
It does it in two ways, of course. Inflation-induced debt destruction, which, regular listeners all understand very well by now, but also just leverage, basic leverage, because, you outpace inflation on a 5-to-1 ratio. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So, and then you have other dimensions where you earn return on investment as well. So, yeah, good stuff. Yeah. Gary, you just can't do it. But see, the thing I would argue, and I'm sure, I don't know, we've never talked about this before over the years as you've been clients, but I'm sure you guys have invested in stocks and bonds and done all the sort of Wall Street pooled asset stuff. And, with that stuff, it's like you have to totally pay attention to that. Anybody listening who thinks they can give their money to some financial planner or even put it in an index fund, they are crazy. You have got to pay attention to that. You've got to read, you've got to learn, you've got to watch CNBC all day. Even then, it's so out of your control. You really have no idea how you'll do. But I always say there's no such thing as a passive investment. And let me share a small example. This is not a major example, but it's worth talking about. Even the bank is not a passive investment because, of course, your money is getting destroyed by taxes and inflation. We all know that. But, I have some bank accounts that, I just spread money around in different banks. And, I don't want to go over the FDIC $250,000 limit. And so, I just never do anything with them. They just sit there, right? I have a little bit, I admit I have some money in the bank because I honestly don't have enough time to deploy it, okay, sometimes. And I do my real estate investing, I do hard money lending. And so I get this, notice like, we think your account has been abandoned. You've got to sign this letter and fill out this paperwork. Otherwise, we're going to let it as cheat to the state. And I'm like, are you kidding? There is nothing passive here. There's nothing passive. Like even a bank account. There's an example, right? So yeah. It's a hassle.
Any thoughts, Sue?
Yeah. We're off on a tangent here, aren't we? But
I know.
But so like before real estate investing, before Gary got his kick and then he got you enrolled in it, what did you do? Were you not the money person? Was Gary the money person, or were you both? Or were you looking at your 401k and the stock market and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we would both do it, keep an eye on it. And we were just, kind of mutual funds because, we thought we could just invest in it and not really have to pay attention to it, right? Because you're investing for the long haul and we're not buying and selling. And
those phrases hurt me now.
So that was where we were, put as much money into your 401k as you could, or Gary had the thrift savings plan. And so that was what we did. And then, and I know Gary has told the story before, my parents are retired now, but yet my dad is constantly like, am I going to have enough money to make it through? He's only in his 70s. How much longer, am I going to need this money for? And, so it just kind of all circles back to not wanting to have to worry as I get older that I'm going to outlive the money.
Yep.
So,
yep. Sue, as a healthcare person that you gotta, I'm sure, agree with this, that the biggest problem a lot of people are going to face, and it's a good one, is too much life left at the end of the money. Because people are, sadly, because of obesity and diabetes and all of this stuff, life expectancy actually has gone down slightly in America for like the first time ever. I believe I just read that. But overall, I think it's an amazing time to be alive, and as you've heard me say, and I think that is going to take a real turn with some of the longevity technologies, longevity sciences that are just, it feels like they're on the verge of making some rather
huge
major strides.
Right?
Yeah. Better prepare for it.
Hopefully, age expectancy will go back up. And then, what are you going to do? Work into your 70s or work into your 80s?
Or 90 or 100s, I mean, if you listen to Ray Kurzweil, he says we're going to have things that, clean out our veins and arteries. And, it's just amazing. I mean, all this stuff that's right around the corner is pretty incredible. Good stuff. Want to share another best practice before you go? And let's kind of wrap it up, or anything I didn't ask you about that you want to share?
Well, Jason, most importantly, I just wanted to say thanks for having us on. Thanks for helping lead us through this journey of 5 to 6 years. I mean, it's been just incredible for us. Like we pointed out earlier, we shared some complaints, but I think that's because we're type A people. And, your mom has commented once, and we've laughed about numerous times your mom's comment that she complains all the way to the bank about her Section 8 tenants.
Yeah.
But, in the end, when you look at those B class or even, C class and the A class, when at the end of the year, if you spend time to actually keep score correctly, you'll be amazed at the impact. And then everything got so much better with the new tax changes. So I'm very, very bullish on this. I can't wait to, kind of share our experience and talk about what I do, at Meet the Master. So this next couple of weeks coming is going to be amazing.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Sue, Gary. We really appreciate it. It's always great to have case studies. Our listeners love it, and they love to hear from real people that are doing real stuff, that have real challenges, real highs, real lows. It all kind of works out in the wash. So, I think the key thing is just understand, go in with realistic expectations. There will be problems. It's just part of life. It's, we're all adults. We know it's not all a bed of roses. Hopefully we've learned that by now. You just got to be persistent and work your way through it. That's what you do with anything that you want to see come to fruition. So thank you to both so much for sharing with us today. We appreciate it, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon at Meet the Masters.
Thank you.
Good.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. Please be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any episodes. Be sure to check out the show's specific website and our general website, hartmanmedia.com, for appropriate disclaimers and terms of service. Remember that guest opinions are their own, and if you require specific legal or tax advice or advice in any other specialized area, please consult an appropriate professional. And we also very much appreciate you reviewing the show. Please go to iTunes or Stitcher Radio or whatever platform you're using and write a review for the show. We would very much appreciate that. And be sure to make it official and subscribe so you do not miss any episodes. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode.